Silence is powerful, but my friend, silence alone is not always enough. We have all heard it before, folks. Stay quiet. Do not react. Let her wonder what you are thinking. And yes, silence can create mystery. It can protect your energy. It can stop you from saying something weak, needy, or emotional when your pride is burning. But here is the question most men never ask. What happens when silence becomes predictable? What happens when she stops wondering and starts assuming? What happens when your absence does not make her feel your strength, but only makes her forget your presence? That is where many men lose. The moment. They think silence itself is the strategy. It is not. Silence is only the foundation. What comes next is stronger. In this video, I am going to show you a strategy better than silence. It is called controlled visibility. This means you do not chase her, but you also do not disappear like a powerless man hiding from emotion. You choose when to step back, when to appear, when to act, and how to make your presence felt when it matters most. You will learn how presence pulls her, in how purpose makes you magnetic, how absence creates desire, and how contrast can build the kind of quiet sexual tension that stays in her mind long after you leave. And stay with me, because once you understand this, you will never use silence the same way again. Let's get into it. Number 1. Silence stops seducing her. Let's be real, folks. Silence is powerful, but silence is not magic. A lot of men here stay silent and they turn it into their entire strategy. They stop texting. They stop reacting. They pull back. At first, that can create mystery. It can make a woman wonder what changed. It can protect you from looking needy. But if silence is all you have, sooner or later, it stops seducing her. Why? Because silence without presence becomes emptiness. Think about Robert, 56, a divorced financial planner from Boston. He had been talking to a woman named Michelle, 51, who worked in healthcare. Their conversations were warm at first. She laughed at his dry humor, asked questions about his life, and even hinted that she liked his calm energy. Then Robert watched a few videos telling him to use silence. So the next time Michelle took a little longer to respond, he went quiet. No message, no warmth, no presence, just silence. At first, Michelle noticed. She wondered if he was busy, if he lost interest, or if something shifted. But after a while, the silence stopped creating curiosity. It started creating distance. She did not feel pulled toward him. She felt like he had disappeared with no weight behind it. And that is the mistake, my friend. Silence only works when there is something behind it worth missing. A man who has presence can be silent and still be felt. A man without presence goes silent and simply becomes absent. This is where most men misunderstand Stoicism. Stoicism does not mean vanishing emotionally. It does not mean acting cold so a woman chases you. It means mastering your reactions. It means refusing to speak from panic, anger, insecurity, or need. Silence is useful when it protects your dignity, but silence becomes weak when it becomes your hiding place. If you are silent because you are grounded, she feels strength. If you are silent because you are scared, she feels avoidance. If you are silent because you are punishing her, she feels immaturity. And if you are silent for too long without purpose, she may stop wondering and start moving on. The original idea is simple. Silence creates mystery, but it also has limits. It creates a vacuum, and people will fill that vacuum with their own thoughts. At first, that can work in your favor. She may wonder what you are thinking. She may replay the last conversation. She may feel the contrast between your old availability and your new restraint. But here is the danger. If you do nothing but stay quiet, she may fill the vacuum with the wrong story. He is not interested. He is playing games. He is emotionally unavailable. He does not know how to lead. That is why silence alone is not enough. Robert learned this the hard way. When he finally saw Michelle again at a mutual friend's dinner, he did not over-explain. He did not apologize for being quiet. He simply showed up differently. Relaxed posture, calm eyes, warm greeting, short, grounded conversation. Then he let the moment breathe. That is when silence became useful again, because now it had presence attached to it. So use silence, but do not worship it. Let it protect your power, not replace your personality. Let it create space, not emptiness. Let it make her feel your self-control, not your fear. A woman is not drawn to silence by itself. She is drawn to the man who can be silent and still feel solid, alive, and impossible to ignore. If this opened your eyes, write this in the comments: I use silence. Stay with me, because the next part reveals why presence pulls her in when silence alone starts losing its power. Number 2. Presence pulls her in. Let's get clear about this, folks. If silence is the art of saying nothing, presence is the art of making her feel something without needing to explain yourself. Silence may make her wonder for a moment. Presence makes her remember you after the moment is gone. That is the difference. A man can be silent and still feel empty. He can stop texting, stop reacting, stop chasing, and still leave no real mark because there is no weight behind his absence. But when a man has presence, even his quiet feels alive. His posture speaks. His eyes speak. His calm speaks. The way he enters a room says, I know who I am, and I do not need permission to take up space. This is what pulls a woman in, not noise, not performance, not trying to impress her with clever lines every few seconds. Presence works because it communicates strength before words do. A woman feels whether you are centered or scattered. She feels whether you are grounded in your body or nervous in your own skin. She feels whether your silence has power or whether it is just fear wearing a mask. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." That is presence, my friend. What you carry inside eventually shows outside. If your mind is full of insecurity, your body will reveal it. Your shoulders tighten, your eyes search for approval, your voice rushes, your hands fidget. But if your mind is disciplined, calm and directed, your presence becomes heavier, cleaner, more masculine. Women read that more than most men realize. You do not need to say, "I am confident." You do not need to announce that you are different. If you truly are composed, she will feel it in how you move. You stand tall without puffing yourself up. You hold eye contact without staring like you are trying to dominate her. You speak slowly because you are not afraid of silence. You listen without looking desperate for your turn to impress. Presence is silence with substance. And here is where the attraction becomes subtle but strong. A woman is drawn to the man whose energy makes the room feel different. When you are present, she feels your attention as something focused, not hungry. She feels your calm as something protective, not boring. She feels your restraint as something controlled, not weak. That kind of presence creates quiet tension because she senses there is more under the surface. But presence cannot be faked for long. You can learn body language, yes. You can improve posture, eye contact and voice. But if your inner state is needy, it will leak through. That is why Stoicism matters here. Presence starts with self-command. You train your mind not to chase every reaction. You train your breath not to follow every emotion. You train your body not to collapse when a woman does not immediately validate you. So how do you build it? Start simple. When you walk into a room, slow down. Do not rush like you are late for your own life. Let your feet land. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Look around calmly. When you speak to her, do not fill every pause. Let your words land. When she talks, actually listen. A present man does not scan the room for better options, and he does not stare at her like she is his only chance at happiness. That balance is magnetic. Presence pulls her in because it makes her feel that you are not trying to take something from her. You are simply there, solid in yourself. And when a woman feels that, she starts becoming curious. She wonders what makes you so calm, why you do not rush, why your silence feels different from other men's silence. That is when you stop being just another man trying to be noticed. You become the man she feels. If this grounded you, write this in the comments: I carry presence. Let's keep going, because the next part shows why purpose makes your presence even more magnetic. Number 3. Purpose makes you magnetic. Let's be honest, folks. A woman can feel when a man is just standing around waiting for attention. She can also feel when a man is moving through life with purpose. The difference is massive. Silence may make her wonder. Presence may pull her in. But purpose is what makes your presence magnetic. Purpose tells her that your energy has direction. You are not just quiet because you have nothing to say. You are quiet because your mind is focused. You are not just absent because you are playing games. You are absent because your life is actually moving somewhere. That is what gives your silence weight and your presence power. Think about James, 58, a construction business owner from Dallas. He met Angela, 51, at a community fundraiser. James was not the loudest man in the room. He was not following Angela around trying to make her laugh. He spoke to people, checked on the event setup, helped solve a small issue with the seating, and carried himself like a man who had a reason to be there. Angela noticed him before he ever tried to impress her. Later, when they spoke, James did not pour out his whole life story. He simply talked about a housing project his company was helping with for veterans in the area. His voice changed when he talked about it. Not louder, deeper, more alive. Angela leaned in because she could feel that this man was connected to something bigger than getting her approval. That is what purpose does. It makes you feel less available in the right way. Not unavailable because you are cold, but unavailable because your life is not empty. You have work, standards, direction, responsibilities, things that matter when she is not watching. A man without purpose often turns a woman into his purpose. That is where the energy becomes heavy. He wants her attention to make his day meaningful. He wants her reply to calm his nervous system. He wants her interest to prove he still has value. My friend, no woman with depth wants to carry that burden for long. Purpose removes that pressure. When you have a life you are building, your desire becomes cleaner. You can like her without needing her. You can enjoy her without clinging to her. You can be drawn to her without making her the center of your existence. That makes the attraction feel stronger because it is not soaked in desperation. James showed this without trying. When Angela asked if he was staying late at the fundraiser, he smiled and said, "I would like to, but I have an early morning. We are starting concrete before the heat gets ugly." Simple, direct, no apology. He enjoyed her, but he still had a life to meet in the morning. That kind of man creates tension because he is present while he is there and missed when he leaves. This is where controlled visibility begins to make sense. You do not show up everywhere. You show up where your presence means something. You do not speak constantly. You speak when your words have weight. You do not chase every opening. You move when your action matches your purpose. And yes, there is a quiet, sensual pull in that. A woman feels safer around a man who is not easily scattered. She feels curiosity around a man who is not fully available to every distraction. She feels desire when your calm is backed by direction. So ask yourself, what are you building? What do you stand for? What makes your eyes sharpen when you speak? If the answer is nothing, do not expect silence to save you. Build a life with direction and your presence will stop feeling empty. It will start feeling expensive. If this challenged you, write this in the comments. I move with purpose. Stay tuned, because the next part shows how her mind reads you before your words ever reach her. Number 4. Her mind reads you. Let's be clear, folks. Before a woman decides what your words mean, her mind is already reading everything else. Your posture, your pace, your eyes, the way you hold silence, the way you move when you think nobody is watching. This is perception, and perception is often the first doorway into attraction. You may believe she is only listening to what you say, but she is also feeling what your body communicates. If you walk in tense, rushed, and hungry for approval, she reads pressure. If you avoid eye contact, fidget, and over-explain, she reads uncertainty. If you stand grounded, breathe slowly, and move with purpose, she reads control before you ever say a word. That is why silence alone is not enough. A silent man with nervous energy still feels nervous. A silent man with grounded energy feels powerful. The difference is not the lack of words. The difference is the state behind the silence. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That is the foundation of perception. Decide what kind of man you are becoming. Then let your actions, your presence and your silence align with that decision. Do not pretend to be strong. Become disciplined enough that strength becomes visible without announcement. My friend, women notice subtle cues. They notice whether you seem comfortable in your own skin. They notice whether your attention feels focused or needy. They notice whether your calm is real or just a mask. And once her mind builds an image of you, every word you say gets filtered through that image. If she perceives you as insecure, even your compliment may sound like a request for validation. If she perceives you as grounded, even a simple sentence can carry weight. That is why managing perception is not about being fake. It is about making sure the way you show up matches the man you are working to become. Start with your body. Relax your shoulders. Keep your chin level. Do not rush every movement. When you speak, let your words land. When you listen, actually listen. Do not scan her face like a man begging for signs. Let her feel that you are present, not performing. And if you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, masculine presence, emotional control, and becoming the kind of man whose energy is felt before he speaks, consider joining the channel membership. Your support helps keep this work alive and builds a stronger community of men who choose self-mastery over noise. Here is the truth. Her mind reads patterns, not one gesture, not one line. Patterns. If your silence, presence and actions all point in the same direction, she feels congruence. And congruence is attractive because it feels solid. Because in attraction, the body believes consistency before it believes explanation. When your energy, timing and behavior agree, she stops questioning the signal and starts feeling the man standing in front of her with respect and control. So stop thinking attraction is only about what you say. She is reading the man behind the words. Make sure that man is steady. If this opened your eyes, write this in the comments. I shape perception. Stay with me, because the next part reveals how controlled visibility builds desire without making you chase. Number 5. Visibility builds desire. Let's be real, folks. A woman cannot feel your presence if you are always hiding, and she cannot value your presence if you are always available. The power is in the middle. That is where controlled visibility begins. You are not everywhere. You are not nowhere. You appear when it matters, and when you do, your presence has weight. Most men get this wrong. When they want a woman, they either chase too much or disappear too hard. The chaser floods her life with messages, attention, compliments, reactions, and availability. After a while, his presence becomes common. She does not feel the impact because there is no scarcity. Then the other man hears that silence is powerful, so he vanishes completely. No warmth, no signal, no presence. He thinks he is creating desire, but he is only creating distance. Controlled visibility is different. It says, I will be seen but not cheaply. I will be present but not constantly. I will show up with purpose, then leave enough space for my presence to echo. Think about Michael, 57, a restaurant owner from Chicago. He had been casually seeing a woman named Dana, 51, who worked in real estate. At first, Michael made the mistake of being too available. Every time Dana posted something, he reacted. Every time she texted, he replied within seconds. Every time she hinted she was free, he rearranged his night. He thought he was showing interest. Dana felt no tension because she already knew he was always there. Then Michael changed his rhythm. Not cold, not fake, just controlled. He stopped reacting to everything. He replied when he actually had time. He stopped offering himself every night of the week. But when he did see Dana, he was fully present. Phone away, shoulders relaxed, strong eye contact. Warm conversation, clear intention. Then he left before the energy went stale. That is when Dana started feeling him differently. She was no longer dealing with a man who appeared on command. She was dealing with a man whose presence felt chosen. And when a man becomes selective with his visibility, a woman starts paying closer attention to the moments when he does appear. This is the psychology behind desire. People value what feels intentional. If your attention is everywhere, it loses power. If your attention is withheld forever, it loses connection. But when your attention arrives with purpose, it becomes something she feels in her body. She notices your arrival. She notices your absence. She notices the contrast. Controlled visibility also protects your masculine frame. It keeps you from becoming the man who hangs around, hoping she gives him a signal. You are not orbiting her. You are moving through your own life. Sometimes your path crosses hers, and when it does, you make the moment count. Michael saw this clearly at a private dinner event. Dana was there talking with friends. Old Michael would have hovered near her all night waiting for an opening. New Michael greeted her warmly, held her gaze, made her laugh with one calm comment, then moved on and spoke with other people. Later, Dana came to him. Why? Because his presence had appeared, created a charge, and then left space. That is desire. Not forced, not begged for. Built through rhythm. A Stoic man does not need to be constantly seen to feel valuable. He knows his worth does not depend on being in her face. He also knows that hiding from life is not strength. He chooses visibility with intention. When he is present, he is truly present. When he is absent, he is not emotionally waiting outside her door. So ask yourself, my friend, are you too available or are you invisible? Are you showing up with purpose or are you spreading your energy too thin? Desire grows when your presence becomes meaningful, not automatic. If this spoke to you, write this in the comments. I choose visibility. Stay tuned because the next part shows how appearing at the right moment can make your presence feel impossible to ignore. Number 6. Appear when it matters. Let's get clear about this, folks. Controlled visibility is not about showing up randomly and hoping she notices. It is about knowing when your presence carries the most weight, then stepping into that moment with purpose. A man who appears at the right time feels powerful. A man who appears all the time feels ordinary. That is the difference most men never understand. If you are always available, your presence loses edge. If you are constantly texting, always reacting, always nearby, always ready to adjust your schedule around her mood, she stops feeling the value of your attention, not because she is cruel, but because the human mind gets used to what is always there. Scarcity creates weight. Timing creates impact. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." That is the heart of this lesson. Decide what kind of man you are. Are you the man who appears whenever anxiety tells him to, or are you the man who chooses his moments with control? Appearing when it matters means your presence is tied to purpose, not panic. You do not show up because you are afraid she will forget you. You show up because the moment deserves your energy. You do not speak because silence makes you uncomfortable. You speak because your words can shift the room. You do not reach out because you need reassurance. You reach out because you have something worth bringing into the interaction. In relationships, this is powerful. Maybe she is used to men who either chase constantly or disappear completely. You become different when you step back without bitterness, then appear with warmth, clarity, and strength at the right time. That contrast makes her feel your presence more deeply. But appearing when it matters is not only about timing, it is also about how you show up. If you step into the moment with nervous energy, the moment loses power. If you arrive with calm posture, steady eyes, and words that are chosen instead of spilled, she feels the difference immediately. Your presence says, "I am not here by accident. I am here because this moment matters." This is why deliberate action beats random effort. Random effort looks like sending 5 messages because she has not replied. Deliberate action looks like giving space, living your life, then reaching out with one clear, grounded message when there is a real reason. Random effort looks like hovering around her at an event. Deliberate action looks like greeting her warmly, making brief eye contact, saying something that lands, and then continuing with your own life. That is controlled visibility. And my friend, do not confuse this with being calculated in a cold way. This is not about turning every interaction into a chess match. It is about self-respect. It is about not scattering your energy everywhere. A mature man does not waste his presence. He understands that the more intentional he becomes, the more memorable he becomes. There is a subtle sexual tension in a man who does not over-appear. She feels that he is not chasing, but he is not absent either. He can step back, but when he steps forward, the room feels it. That kind of rhythm creates curiosity. She starts noticing not just when you are there, but why your presence feels different when you are. So practice this. Before you reach out, ask, am I acting from purpose or anxiety? Before you speak, ask, does this need to be said? Before you show up, ask, will my presence add weight or just noise? A Stoic man chooses his timing. He does not rush because emotion pushes him. He moves because purpose calls him. If this made sense, write this in the comments. I choose timing. Stay with me, because the next part reveals why strategic absence can make her feel what your constant presence never could. Number 7. Absence makes her feel. Let's be honest, folks. A woman cannot feel the value of your presence if you never give her space to notice its absence. When you are always there, always texting, always reacting, always available, your attention starts feeling like background noise. She may like it at first, but over time, what is constant becomes easy to overlook. Absence changes that. But I am not talking about disappearing like a bitter man. I am not talking about silent treatment, punishment, or acting cold just to make her anxious. Strategic absence is cleaner than that. It is the disciplined decision to step back when your presence is being taken for granted, so the space you leave behind can speak for you. Think about Alan, 59, a retired military officer from Virginia. He had been seeing a woman named Patricia, 52, a school administrator. At first, Patricia loved his attention. Alan called after work, checked in every morning, replied quickly, and made himself available whenever she had a free hour. He thought he was showing consistency, but slowly Patricia stopped leaning in. She answered later. She cancelled twice. She began treating his availability like something guaranteed. Old Alan would have chased harder. He would have asked what changed. He would have sent longer messages, tried harder to plan, and pressed for reassurance. But this time he caught himself. He realized his presence had become too easy to access. So he stepped back, not with anger, but with control. He stopped the constant check-ins. He did not react to every small update. He kept his tone warm when they spoke, but he no longer organized his day around Patricia's uncertainty. He went back to his routines: morning walks, time with friends, work on his house, quiet evenings that were no longer spent waiting for her phone to light up. And then something shifted. Patricia began to feel the space. She noticed he was not as available. She noticed his energy was lighter, less attached, less hungry. She asked, "You have been busy lately?" Alan did not over-explain. He simply said, "I have been getting back into my own rhythm. Feels good." That answer landed because it was not a tactic, it was true. Absence becomes attractive only when it is backed by a real life. If you step back but spend all day hoping she misses you, she will still feel your need. That is not absence. That is emotional waiting. Real absence means your attention actually returns to you. Your body, your work, your purpose, your peace. There is a quiet pull in a man who can leave space without resentment. She feels that he is not trying to trap her, but he is also not endlessly available. She feels that access to him has meaning. That can create desire, because it reminds her that his presence is not owed. It is chosen. This is the contrast principle in action. Presence feels stronger after absence. Warmth feels deeper after space. A message feels more valuable when it does not arrive every hour. A look feels heavier when it comes from a man who has not been chasing all night. But remember, my friend, dosage matters. Too much absence becomes neglect. Too little absence becomes neediness. The Stoic man finds the middle. He steps back when needed, but he does not play games. He gives space, but he does not become cruel. He lets her feel the gap, but he does not use the gap as a weapon. So if your presence has become automatic, pull your energy back into your own life. Let her feel the difference. Let her wonder without you forcing the question. If this hit home, write this in the comments. I create space. Don't go anywhere, because the next part shows how contrast creates the kind of tension she cannot stop feeling. Number 8. Contrast creates sexual tension. Let's get straight to it, folks. Sexual tension does not come from being constantly available, constantly sweet, constantly silent, or constantly intense. That becomes predictable. Real tension comes from contrast. Warmth and distance, silence and presence, stillness and action. A look that lingers, then a calm step back. A man who can be close without clinging and absent without disappearing like a coward. That contrast is what makes her feel the charge. The original lesson calls this the contrast principle. Silence feels powerful after noise. Presence feels stronger after absence. Action feels bolder after hesitation. The human mind notices shifts. It pays attention when a pattern changes. If you are always texting, she adapts. If you are always quiet, she adapts. If you are always available, she adapts. But when your rhythm changes with purpose, she starts feeling the difference. That is where tension begins. Epictetus said, "It is not things themselves that disturb men, but their judgments about these things." In attraction, judgment is shaped by contrast. If your presence is always there, she may judge it as ordinary. If your attention comes with purpose after space, after silence, after restraint, it feels heavier. The thing itself may be simple, a message, a look, a short conversation, but because of the contrast around it, it lands differently. Now listen carefully, my friend. Contrast is not emotional chaos. It is not being hot one day and cruel the next. It is not making her insecure so she chases you. That is weak. That is childish. Mature contrast is controlled rhythm. You create space, but you remain respectful. You show warmth, but you do not drown her in need. You hold silence, but when you speak, your words have weight. That is what makes it seductive without becoming toxic. A woman can feel when a man has command over his emotional temperature. He does not rush just because desire is present. He does not panic because there is distance. He does not over-explain because the silence feels uncomfortable. He lets the moment carry a little pressure. He allows the pause to exist. He allows the eye contact to sit. He allows attraction to build instead of killing it with nervous words. Most men destroy sexual tension because they need relief too soon. The moment there is a charged silence, they joke. The moment she pulls back a little, they chase. The moment she leans in, they overdo it. They do not know how to hold the middle. And because they cannot hold the middle, the tension collapses. A Stoic man is different. He feels the pull, but he does not become its servant. He notices her beauty, but he does not hand her his center. He can be present, warm and direct, then step back into his own life without resentment. That creates a question in her mind. Why does he feel so calm? Why does his attention feel strong but not desperate? Why do I feel him more when he gives me space? That question is powerful. Contrast also works in conversation. If you are always serious, bring play. If you are always playful, show depth. If you are always talking, pause. If you have been quiet, say one clear thing that changes the energy. The key is not to perform. The key is to remain alive, intentional, and hard to flatten into one simple category. This is why controlled visibility matters. You do not flood her with presence. You do not starve her with absence. You create a rhythm where your presence feels meaningful and your absence gives her room to feel the echo. So do not be predictable in the weak sense. Be consistent in character, but varied in expression. Let her trust your values, but wonder about your next move. Let her feel safe with your self-control, but curious about your depth. That is where real tension lives. Not in games, not in pressure. In contrast, guided by discipline. If this made sense, write this in the comments. I create contrast. Stay tuned, because the next part reveals why self-control is the force that makes all of this attractive instead of reckless. Number 9. Self-control attracts her. Let's be real, folks. A woman is not only watching what you want, she is watching what you can control. Desire without self-control feels dangerous. Silence without self-control feels cold. Presence without self-control feels like pressure. But when a man can feel attraction, tension, anger, uncertainty, and still remain composed, that is when his energy becomes powerful. Self-control is not weakness, it is strength under command. Think about Thomas, 58, a retired firefighter from Phoenix. He had been seeing a woman named Elaine, 52, a fitness instructor, who was calm, attractive, and not easily impressed. One evening, they were at a small rooftop dinner with friends. Elaine was warm with him, but she also had a sharp sense of humor. At one point, she teased him in front of the group and said, "You always look like you are trying not to smile." The old Thomas might have defended himself. He might have tried too hard to be funny. He might have turned the moment into a small performance to prove he could handle her. But this time he just looked at her, held the silence for a second, smiled slowly and said, "Maybe I am just deciding whether you have earned it yet." Elaine laughed, but she also felt something. He did not rush. He did not collapse. He did not overreact. He held the tension. That is self-control in attraction. A woman can feel when a man is ruled by impulse. He texts because he is anxious. He talks because silence scares him. He gets jealous because another man looked at her. He confesses too soon because uncertainty makes him uncomfortable. He touches too quickly because desire outruns discipline. That kind of man may create intensity, but he does not create trust. And trust is what allows attraction to deepen. Thomas understood this later that night. Elaine stood close to him near the railing, and the air between them felt charged. He did not rush to fill the moment. He did not push. He stayed relaxed, looked out over the city, then back at her. His calm gave her room to move closer, naturally. That is what self-control does. It creates space for her desire to rise without feeling pressured. This is the heart of Stoicism. The strongest man is not the one who feels nothing. He is the one who feels everything and still chooses his response. He feels the pull, but he does not become needy. He feels the tension, but he does not become reckless. He feels uncertainty, but he does not beg for reassurance. That kind of control is rare, and rare is attractive. Controlled visibility only works if self-control is underneath it. Without self-control, silence becomes sulking, absence becomes punishment, presence becomes neediness, contrast becomes chaos. But with self-control, every move becomes cleaner. Your silence has dignity, your absence has purpose, your presence has weight, your actions feel deliberate instead of desperate. My friend, this is why women test the steadiness of a man. Not always on purpose. Sometimes life does it for them. A delayed reply, a disagreement, a little distance, a tense moment, a playful challenge. She may not be thinking, "Let me test him," but her body is watching. Can this man stay centered when he does not get exactly what he wants? If the answer is yes, her respect grows. So practice control before you need it. Control your phone, control your voice, control your eyes, control your need to explain, control your urge to chase when silence would serve you better, control your pride when calm would be stronger, because a man who controls himself does not need to control her. And that is what makes him feel safe, strong, and deeply masculine. If this hit home, write this in the comments: I control myself. Stay with me. because the final part shows how to leave an impact that stays in her mind long after you are gone. Number 10. Your impact haunts her. Here is the final lesson, folks. The goal is not to be loud in her life. The goal is to leave a mark so clear that even when you are gone, something about your presence keeps echoing in her mind. That is what silence alone cannot do. Silence may create a question. Presence gives that question weight. Purposeful action gives it proof. Controlled visibility turns it into impact. A woman does not remember every man who talks to her. She remembers the man whose energy changed the room. The man who appeared when it mattered, spoke with restraint, acted with purpose, and left before his presence became cheap. That kind of man does not chase her thoughts. He earns a place in them. But understand this, my friend. Your impact should not haunt her because you manipulated her, hurt her, confused her, or made her insecure. That is weak influence. Real impact comes from congruence. She remembers you because your words matched your actions. Your silence matched your strength. Your absence matched your purpose. Your presence matched your character. This is where everything we covered comes together. Silence has limits when it stands alone. Presence pulls her in when your inner state is grounded. Purpose makes you magnetic because your life has direction. Perception shapes how her mind reads you before you speak. Visibility builds desire when you are seen with intention, not desperation. Absence makes her feel the space you leave. Contrast creates tension. Self-control makes all of it safe enough to be attractive. That is the strategy better than silence. You become deliberate. A deliberate man does not throw his energy everywhere. He does not reply just because anxiety pushes him. He does not show up just to prove he still exists. He does not vanish to punish her. He does not act interested one day and cold the next because he cannot manage his emotions. He chooses. He chooses when to speak, when to step back, when to act, when to let the moment breathe, when to make his presence felt. That is what makes his impact linger. Think of the men people remember in any room. It is rarely the man who talks the most. It is the man who seems centered. The man who listens like he is not afraid of silence. The man who speaks once and makes the room shift. The man who moves with quiet certainty. The man whose absence feels noticeable because his presence was never wasted. In attraction, that kind of impact is powerful. She may think about how calmly you held eye contact, how you did not chase when she pulled back, how you appeared with warmth at the right moment, then returned to your own life, how your attention felt focused but not needy, how your self-control made your desire feel strong instead of reckless. That memory stays. And here is the Stoic truth underneath it all. You do not control whether she thinks about you. You control whether you become the kind of man who leaves a worthy impression. You control your discipline, your timing, your actions, your posture, your words, your silence, and your purpose. You control whether your life feels scattered or intentional. So stop trying to be remembered through noise. Stop trying to force your way into her mind through constant contact. Become a man whose presence carries weight because his life carries weight. Let your impact come from mastery, not performance. When you leave, leave calm behind. Leave respect behind. Leave curiosity behind. Leave the feeling that she met a man who was not easily shaken, not easily owned, and not easily forgotten. That is how your impact haunts her, not like a wound, but like a memory she cannot fully dismiss. So let's bring this home, folks. Today you learned that silence is powerful, but silence alone is not enough. Real influence comes from controlled visibility. You step back when your presence is being wasted. You appear when the moment matters, and you act with purpose instead of reacting from need. This is how a grounded man becomes hard to forget. His silence has strength. His presence has weight. His absence creates space. His actions leave proof. And his self-control makes everything he does feel calm, masculine, and intentional. If you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, masculine presence, female psychology, and mastering your energy without chasing or begging, consider joining the channel membership. Your support helps keep this work alive and helps build a stronger community of men who are serious about growth. And if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss the next lesson. What haunts a woman the most is not the argument you had. It is the silence she never thought you were strong enough to give her. She expected a reaction, folks. She expected another message, another explanation, another late-night paragraph where you try to prove your heart, your value, and your pain. Maybe she got used to you chasing. Maybe every time she pulled away, you came closer. Every time, room again. Every time she gave less, you gave more. And that is exactly why your silence hits differently. Because silence takes away the one thing she thought. She still controlled your reaction. No begging, no anger, no emotional performance. No desperate attempt to make her understand what she already knew she was doing. But listen carefully, my friend. This is not about revenge. A Stoic man does not go silent to punish a woman. He goes silent because his peace is no longer available for disrespect. He stops explaining because his dignity is worth more than being understood by someone who kept hurting him. In this video, you are going to learn why silence hurts deeper than words, what stages she goes through when you stop chasing, how doubt, curiosity, and regret begin to rise, and how to keep your silence powerful without becoming bitter. Stay with me because one part of this process is where most men break first and hand all their power back. Let's get into it. Number 1. Silence hurts her deeper. Let's be real, folks. Words give a woman something to fight with. Silence gives her nothing to grab. That is why it cuts deeper. When you argue, explain, defend yourself, or send that long message at midnight, she can twist it, answer it, ignore it, or use it to feel like she still has access to your emotions. But when you go silent, calm, and clean, she has to sit with the one thing she cannot control anymore: your absence. That is where the pain begins. A woman who got used to your reactions will not fear your words. She already knows those. She knows the tone you use when you are hurt. She knows how long your paragraphs get when you are trying to be understood. She knows the look in your eyes when you want her to care. But silence is different, because silence tells her something has changed inside you. Think about Richard, 58, from Pittsburgh. He had been seeing a woman named Laura, 52, for almost a year. Laura was warm when she wanted closeness, but cold whenever Richard asked for consistency. Every time she pulled away, he chased. Every time she gave a short answer, he sent a longer one. Every time she said, "I just need space," Richard panicked and tried to explain his heart better. Then one night, after Laura cancelled dinner for the third time and gave him a vague excuse, Richard did something he had never done before. He did not argue. He did not ask for clarity. He did not write a speech about how much he cared. He simply said, "I understand," and stepped back. No anger, no punishment, no dramatic goodbye. Just silence. At first, Laura probably felt relief. She thought he would cool down and return like always. But the next morning there was no message. That afternoon, nothing. No reaction to her story, no checking in, no careful attempt to make sure she was not upset. That is when silence started working, not because Richard was trying to hurt her, but because he finally stopped offering his pain as proof of love. My friend, this is the part most men misunderstand. Silence does not hurt because it is cruel. It hurts because it removes reassurance. It tells her, "I am no longer standing here begging you to see what you already chose to ignore." A woman who took your presence for granted may not realize its value until she feels the place where your energy used to be. That emptiness creates questions. Is he done? Did I push too far? Why is he not reacting? Did he finally realize I was giving less than he deserved? Those questions can echo louder than any argument because they come from inside her own mind, and that is why silence has power. You are no longer feeding the cycle. You are no longer giving her your wounded voice, your emotional explanations, your desperate need for closure. You are letting reality speak, but keep this clean. A Stoic man does not use silence as a weapon to punish. He uses silence as a boundary to protect his peace. If you go silent while secretly watching her, every move waiting for her to suffer, you are still controlled by her. Real silence begins when your focus returns to yourself. Richard used that silence to rebuild. He went back to the gym, spent time with his brother, fixed things around his house, and stopped rereading old texts. That is when his silence became masculine, not because Laura felt it, but because he became stronger inside it. If you have given too much to someone who gave too little, write this in the comments. I protect peace. Stay with me, because the next part shows why she expected you to chase and why your refusal to do it changes everything. Number 2. She expected you to chase. Let's get clear about this, folks. The reason your silence shocks her is not because silence is complicated. It shocks her because she expected the old pattern. She expected you to chase. She expected another message. She expected you to come back carrying your pain in your hands, hoping she would finally treat it gently. That expectation did not appear from nowhere. It was built by repetition. Every time she pulled away and you leaned in harder, she learned something. Every time she gave less and you gave more, she learned something. Every time she became cold and you tried to earn warmth back, she learned that your emotional access was guaranteed. My friend, that is a dangerous place for a man to be. When a woman knows you will always chase, she may not consciously plan to hurt you, but she can start taking your presence lightly. She knows you will explain. She knows you will ask what changed. She knows you will try to fix the mood, repair the distance, and prove that you are still there. And when she knows that your attention stops feeling chosen, it starts feeling automatic. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That is exactly what chasing reveals. When you cannot stop reaching for her reaction, you are no longer free. Your peace is in her hand. Your mood depends on her warmth. Your dignity bends every time she creates distance. That is why silence becomes so powerful. It interrupts the script. She expected you to come closer, but you stepped back. She expected emotion, but you gave restraint. She expected a long paragraph, but there was nothing to answer. Suddenly, the old power dynamic does not work the same way. And understand this carefully. You are not doing it to make her suffer. You are doing it because chasing someone who already knows your heart only weakens you. At some point, a man must stop explaining his value to someone who benefits from pretending not to see it. The first stage she may feel is relief. She thinks he is finally giving me space. She assumes you are just cooling off. She believes the pattern will return. Then, time passes. No check-in. No emotional message. No reaction to her small signals. That is when relief turns into curiosity. She starts wondering whether you are truly gone from the old dynamic. This is where many men break. They want the silence to work quickly. They want proof that she noticed. They check her stories. They post something indirect. They send a light message pretending it means nothing. And just like that, they hand the pattern back to her. Do not do that. A Stoic man lets his silence stay clean. He does not chase with his thumbs while pretending to be silent with his mouth. He does not stop texting her but keep orbiting her life online. If you are silent, be silent. Return to your work, your body, your friends, your purpose, your discipline, because the real shift is not that she expected you to chase and now you refuse. The real shift is that you no longer need chasing to feel connected to yourself. So let her expectations fail. Let the old script collapse. Let her discover that the man who once ran after every sign of distance is learning to stand still. If this spoke to you, write this in the comments. I stopped chasing. Stay tuned, because the next part shows what happens when her ego no longer receives the reaction it was waiting for. Number 3. Her ego starts starving. Let's be real, folks. When a woman is used to your reaction, your silence does not just create distance. It removes the emotional supply she expected from you. That is why her ego starts starving. Not her heart at first, her ego. There is a difference. Her heart may take longer to understand what she lost, but her ego notices quickly when the attention stops. No long message. No question about what went wrong. No late-night attempt to explain your pain. No checking in to see if she is okay. No little signal that says, I am still here, still affected, still waiting. That absence can shake her more than any argument ever could. Think about Marcus, 57, from Charlotte. He had been involved with a woman named Denise, 50, for nearly 8 months. Denise liked him, but she also knew how much emotional access she had. If she pulled back, Marcus chased. If she sounded cold, he tried to warm her up. If she cancelled plans, he gave her another chance before she even had to ask. Over time, Denise got used to being the center of his reactions. Then one weekend after, she ignored a serious message from him and posted photos from dinner with friends, like nothing happened. Marcus almost broke. He wanted to send a sharp text. He wanted to say, "So, this is how little I matter to you." He wanted to force her to admit she had been careless with him, but he did not. He turned the phone face down, went for a long walk and said nothing. At first, Denise probably expected the usual pattern, maybe a second message, maybe a hurt paragraph, maybe something emotional she could either respond to or avoid, but there was nothing, and that nothing began to work against the version of herself that felt in control. My friend, this is what silence does to ego. It cuts off the mirror. If she was used to seeing her power reflected in your pain, your silence removes that reflection. She no longer gets to confirm that she can disturb you anytime she wants. She no longer gets the comfort of knowing you are still emotionally available, even when she gives very little. That does not mean she is evil. Do not turn this into hatred. Sometimes people take for granted what keeps showing up for them. They do not always understand the cost of someone's love, until that love stops explaining itself. Denise noticed after a few days, Marcus had not viewed her story. He had not sent a follow-up. He had not posted anything bitter. He had not tried to make her jealous. He simply became unavailable to the old cycle. That is when her ego began looking for proof. Is he mad? Is he done? Did he stop caring? Did I push too far? Those questions are powerful because you are no longer answering them for her. The mistake most men make here is they want to see her ego starve, so they keep checking for evidence. That ruins the whole point. If you are silent only to watch her suffer, you are still attached to her reaction. Real silence is not watching the cage from outside. Real silence is walking away from the cage completely. Marcus used his silence correctly. He did not just disappear. He returned to himself. He trained. He cleaned up his house. He spent Sunday with his adult son. He stopped using Denise's response as the measure of his worth. That is when silence becomes masculine, because it is no longer about starving her ego. It is about feeding your own self-respect. So let her ego miss the attention. Let it wonder why the old version of you is not showing up. Let it feel the emptiness where your reactions used to be. But do not make that your mission. Your mission is peace. If this hit home, write this in the comments: I feed peace. Stay with me, because the next part shows how doubt enters her mind when your silence starts rewriting the story she believed about you. Number 4. Doubt enters her mind. Let's get clear about this, folks. The moment your silence continues longer than she expected, doubt enters her mind. Not dramatic doubt at first, not regret that knocks her over in one night. It begins quietly. A small question, a little discomfort, a thought she cannot push away. What if he is not coming back the way he used to? That question matters because it attacks the story she was using to stay comfortable. Before your silence, she may have believed she understood you. You were the man who would explain, the man who would assess, the man who would keep reaching in her mind. And predictable things are easy to take for granted. But silence breaks prediction. Seneca said, We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. That is exactly what happens when someone loses certainty over you. Your silence gives her no argument to defeat, no message to analyze, no emotional outburst to judge. So her imagination starts filling the empty room. Did he finally see me clearly? Did he stop needing my response? Did I misjudge how strong he is? Did I lose access to something I thought would always be there? That is the hidden power of silence. It does not force doubt into her mind. It creates enough space for her own mind to produce it. But listen carefully, my friend. Doubt is not your goal. Self-respect is your goal. If you stay silent only because you want her to panic, then you are still a prisoner of her reaction. You are not free. You are just chasing without words. A Stoic man does not measure his strength by how much uncertainty he creates in a woman. He measures it by how little he needs to disturb his own peace. Still, the psychological effect is real. When you stop responding to every shift in her mood, she begins to question the power she thought she had. When you stop explaining your pain, she begins to wonder whether she still has emotional access. When you stop proving that you care, she may begin asking herself why she assumed your care would never run out. That is where her old confidence starts cracking. And this is where most men make the mistake of interrupting the process. They feel her uncertainty. Maybe she posts something vague. Maybe she likes an old picture. Maybe she sends a message just to see if the door opens. And the man who has not mastered himself jumps at the bait. He rushes to reassure her. He answers too fast. He gives her certainty again. Then the doubt disappears and the old pattern returns. Do not do that. If she reaches out, respond from calm, not hunger. If she tests the door, do not fling it open like you have been waiting behind it. Be warm if warmth is deserved. Be brief if the moment calls for restraint. But do not give away the peace you fought to rebuild. And if you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, masculine silence, emotional control, and protecting your dignity in relationships, consider joining the channel membership. Your support helps keep these lessons alive and helps build a stronger community of men who are done begging to be valued. Doubt enters her mind when you stop acting like the old version of yourself. Let that happen. Let the story change. But keep your eyes on the real work, becoming a man who no longer needs her uncertainty to feel powerful. If this grounded you, write this in the comments. I keep dignity. Stay tuned, because the next part shows how she starts searching for proof that your silence is real. Number 5. She searches for proof. Let's be real, folks. When your silence lasts longer than she expected, she starts searching for proof. Proof that you are still hurt. Proof that you are still watching. Proof that you still care enough to react. Because if she can find even one small sign, one crack in your silence, then she can tell herself she still has access to you. This is where silence becomes uncomfortable for her. At first, she may not reach out directly. That would require admitting she noticed your absence. So she searches indirectly. She checks whether you viewed her story. She looks at your posts. She watches for sad quotes, angry captions, late-night gym photos, anything that suggests she still lives rent-free inside your mind. And if she sees it, her ego relaxes. Think about Frank, 59, from Tampa. He had been dealing with a woman named Melissa, 51. Melissa was affectionate when she wanted attention, but distant when Frank needed clarity. For months, Frank reacted to every shift in her mood. If she pulled back, he posted something emotional. If she ignored him, he watched every story. If she went quiet, he sent a message pretending to be casual. Melissa did not need to ask whether Frank still cared. His behavior told her. Then one day, Frank stopped. Completely. No story views. No indirect posts. No emotional quotes. No bitter captions. No carefully staged photos meant to make her wonder. Just a clean absence. That silence hit differently because Melissa could not find proof anymore. My friend, this is where many men fail. They stop texting, but they keep leaking. They go silent, then post a quote about loyalty. They say nothing, then watch every update she puts out. They disappear then, Upload a photo clearly meant for her to see. That is not silence. That is still communication, just without courage. And she knows it. If you want your silence to carry weight, stop giving her evidence that you are still orbiting her. Do not perform pain. Do not perform happiness. Do not perform indifference. Just return to your life. Let the absence be clean enough that she cannot explain it away. Frank understood this after years of chasing emotionally unavailable women. During his silence, he did not use social media as a theater. He went fishing with his brother. He cleaned out his garage. He returned to morning walks. He reconnected with the parts of himself he had abandoned while trying to hold Melissa's attention. That is the real proof your silence should create. Not proof for her, proof for you. Proof that you can stop chasing. Proof that your peace does not depend on her response. Proof that the man she used to trigger is no longer available on command. When she searches and finds nothing, her imagination starts working harder. Is he really done? Did he stop caring? Is he with someone else? Did he finally choose himself? Those questions may rise, but they are not your responsibility to answer. A Stoic man does not manage another person's uncertainty. He manages his own discipline, so stay clean. If you are silent, be silent across the whole field, not just your phone, your posts, your eyes, your habits, your private thoughts. Stop sending signals that betray your boundary. Let your life become quiet, steady, and unavailable to the old game. If this challenged you, write this in the comments. I give no proof. Stay with me because the next part shows how she may test your silence to see if the old version of you is still waiting underneath. Number 6. She tests your silence. Let's get clear about this, folks. When your silence starts working, she may test it. Not always directly, not always with some big dramatic message. Sometimes the test is small, subtle, almost innocent. A like on an old post, a story that seems aimed at you, a random message that says, "Hope you are doing well," a sudden appearance in a place where she knows you might see her. And if you are not disciplined, you will mistake the test for a door. This is where many men hand their power back. They have stayed silent for days, maybe weeks. They have finally stopped chasing. Their mind is starting to clear. Their dignity is coming back. Then she drops one small signal, and suddenly they become the old version again. Fast reply, long message, warm apology, emotional explanation, full access restored. My friend, that is not strength. That is a relapse. A woman who got used to your reactions may want to know whether the old man is still waiting under the surface. She may not say it that way, but her behavior asks the question, can I still get him to react? Can I still pull him back with one small sign? Is he really done, or is he just pretending to be strong? This is why your silence must be rooted in purpose, not pride. If it is rooted in pride, a small test will trigger you. If it is rooted in peace, you will remain steady. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That is the whole battle right here. Freedom is not whether she reaches out. Freedom is whether her reach still controls your nervous system. Freedom is whether you can see a message, breathe, and decide instead of react. So if she tests your silence, do not rush. Do not punish her either. You are not trying to be cruel. You are not trying to make her crawl. You are simply refusing to return to a dynamic where your emotions were available on command. If she sends a casual message, answer, only if it deserves an answer. And if you answer, keep it calm, brief and clean. No hidden anger, no confession, no paragraphs, no emotional court case. Something simple. Good to hear from you. Hope you are well. Then return to your life. If she posts something meant to provoke jealousy, do not bite. If she likes an old photo, do not turn it into a fantasy. If she appears warm for one moment, do not assume regret has arrived. Watch the pattern. A Stoic man does not build decisions on crumbs. He observes consistency. This is important because tests can create false hope. A man who is hungry for proof will turn any tiny signal into a story. She watched my story, so she misses me. She liked my photo, so she wants me back. She texted one sentence, so the door is open. Slow down. Signals are not transformation. Interest is not accountability. Curiosity is not love. Let her actions become clear over time. The real test is not whether she reaches out. The real test is whether you stay loyal to yourself after she does. Can you keep your peace? Can you keep your boundaries? Can you respond without becoming needy? Can you let silence continue if her effort is weak? Because sometimes she is not coming back with respect. Sometimes she is only checking whether the leash still works. Do not hate her for that. Just do not prove that it does. Your silence remains powerful when it cannot be easily broken by curiosity, ego, guilt, or loneliness. It remains powerful when you are no longer waiting for her to test it. If this grounded you, write this in the comments. I stay unshaken. Let's keep going, because the next part shows how regret begins to rise when she realizes the old version of you is no longer available. Number 7. Regret starts rising. Let's be real, folks. Regret does not always hit her the first day you go silent. At first she may feel relief, then curiosity, then frustration, then doubt. But regret begins rising when she realizes your silence is not a mood. It is not a temporary reaction. It is not a little performance to get her attention. It is a sign that something in you has changed. That is when the memories come back. Not all at once. Quietly. One small moment at a time. She remembers how you used to check on her when she was tired. How you remembered the details other men forgot. How you tried to understand her even when she made it difficult. How you stayed patient when she was cold. How you gave warmth even when she gave confusion. And now that warmth is gone. Think about William, 59, from Nashville. He had been seeing a woman named Karen, 53. Karen liked his steadiness, but she also took advantage of it. She cancelled plans, delayed replies, and gave just enough affection to keep him close. William used to chase every time she pulled away. He would ask if she was okay. He would explain how much he cared. He would try harder. Then he stopped. No anger, no bitter message, no emotional scene, just silence and distance. At first, Karen told herself he was overreacting. Then she told herself he would come back. But after a while, the old story stopped working. William did not watch her stories. He did not send a holiday message. He did not react when she posted herself out with friends. He did not perform sadness. He did not perform jealousy. He simply stayed gone. That is when regret started rising. Because regret needs contrast. She had to feel the difference between having his attention and losing access to it. She had to feel what her life sounded like without his steady voice in it. She had to sit with the possibility that the man she thought would always chase had finally chosen himself. My friend, that realization can hit harder than any speech. When you talk, she can defend herself. When you explain, she can minimize it. When you argue, she can blame your tone. But when you remove yourself with dignity, she has nothing to fight except her own memory. That is why silence can bring regret to the surface. But listen carefully. Do not make her regret your mission. That is still attachment. That is still letting her inner world control your peace. A Stoic man does not build his healing around whether she suffers. He builds his healing around whether he becomes stronger, clearer, and less dependent on someone who did not value him properly. William did not stay silent because he wanted Karen to hurt. He stayed silent because he finally respected the wound enough to stop reopening it. He went back to his routines: Sunday breakfast with his daughter, evening walks, training at the gym, fixing the old motorcycle in his garage. Bit by bit, his life stopped orbiting Karen, and that is what made the silence real. If she regrets losing you, let that be her lesson. If she does not, let that be yours. Either way, you do not return to begging. You do not run back because she suddenly feels uncomfortable. Regret is not the same as change. Missing you is not the same as respecting you. A woman can regret losing access and still not be ready to treat you better. So stay grounded. Let regret rise if it rises. Let memory do its work if it must. But keep your focus where it belongs, on your discipline, your peace, and the man you are becoming without her approval. If this spoke to you, write this in the comments: I choose peace. Stay with me, because the next part shows how silence rebuilds your power when you stop using it to wait and start using it to grow. Number 8. Silence rebuilds your power. Let's get clear about this, folks. Silence only becomes powerful when it stops being about her and starts becoming about you. If you are silent just to make her wonder, you are still controlled by her reaction. If you are silent just to make her regret, you are still living inside her mind. But when silence becomes the space where you rebuild your discipline, your peace, and your self-respect, that is when your power returns. Most men misunderstand silence. They think the goal is to disappear and wait. Wait for her to miss them. Wait for her to reach out. Wait for her to notice the empty space. But waiting is not strength, my friend. Waiting is chasing without movement. Your body may be still, but your mind is still kneeling at her door. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." That is the whole point of silence. You do not control whether she misses you. You do not control whether she regrets losing you. You do not control whether she finally understands what she had. You control what you do with the space her absence created. That space can destroy you, or it can rebuild you. If you fill it with obsession, you become weaker. You check her profile. You replay old conversations. You imagine her moving on. You read meaning into every small sign. You turn your silence into a private prison. That is not power. That is emotional addiction, wearing the mask of discipline. But if you fill that space with action, your silence becomes medicine. You train your body, you clean your environment, you rebuild your routines, you reconnect with men who respect you. You read, you work, you sleep properly. You stop using pain as an excuse to abandon yourself. Slowly, your nervous system learns something important. I can be okay without her response. That is the moment your power starts coming back. A woman may feel your silence, but you must feel your strength. That is the deeper transformation. The strongest silence is not the one that makes her uncomfortable. It is the one that makes you whole. It is the silence where you stop explaining your value and start living it. You stop begging to be understood and start understanding yourself. You stop asking why she did not choose you and start asking why you kept choosing someone who made you feel disposable. That question can change a man. And listen carefully. Silence is not passive when it is connected to growth. It may look quiet from the outside, but inside a war is being won. Every time you do not send the message, you strengthen your restraint. Every time you do not check for proof, you strengthen your dignity. Every time you return to your purpose, instead of returning to her confusion, you strengthen your frame. This is why silence hurts them more than they think. Not because you are trying to wound them, but because you are becoming less reachable by the old games. The version of you that explained, chased, and broke first is fading. A stronger version is taking his place. So do not waste your silence. Do not sit in it like a victim. Build inside it. Let the quiet become a workshop. Let pain become discipline. Let absence become clarity. If this challenged you, write this in the comments: I rebuild power. Stay with me, because the next part shows how to keep your silence purposeful without letting bitterness take control. Number 9. Stay silent with purpose. Let's be real, folks. Silence without purpose turns into bitterness. And bitterness does not make you stronger. It only keeps you tied to the person you claim you are walking away from. If your silence is secretly saying, I hope she suffers, I hope she notices, I hope she comes crawling back, then you are not free. You are still emotionally kneeling at her door, just with your mouth closed. Purposeful silence is different. It is clean, it is calm, it is disciplined. It does not need to punish her because it is too busy protecting you. That is the difference between a man who is healing and a man who is pretending to be powerful. Think about Anthony, 57, from Atlanta. He had been involved with a woman named Rachel, 52, for almost a year. Rachel was affectionate when she wanted comfort, but distant when Anthony needed honesty. For months, Anthony kept trying to explain himself. He sent long messages. He asked for clarity. He tried to prove that he was not asking for too much. Eventually, he went silent. But at first, his silence was not clean. He checked Rachel's page every morning. He wondered if she had noticed. He imagined her missing him. He kept building conversations in his head, where she finally admitted she was wrong. On the outside, he was quiet. Inside, he was still fighting. That is not Stoic silence. That is emotional noise, with no sound. Then Anthony made a decision. His silence would no longer be about Rachel. It would be about reclaiming himself. He stopped checking. He stopped rehearsing. He stopped waiting for some dramatic apology. He started using the silence as a daily boundary. Morning workout, better meals, more time with his sons, less drinking, more sleep. He took his attention back piece by piece. That is when silence became powerful. Purpose gives silence direction. Without purpose, silence becomes a dark room where resentment grows. With purpose, silence begins. Every day you do not check for proof. You are training dignity. Every day you do not break your boundary just because loneliness gets loud. You are training self-command. And here is the part most men do not want to hear. If your silence depends on her reaction, it will not last. If she posts something attractive and you break, your silence was not built on purpose. If she sends one vague message and you run back, your silence was not built on purpose. If she gives you a little warmth and you forget all the disrespect, your silence was only a pause. A man with purpose does not let one soft moment erase the pattern that wounded him. Anthony learned this when Rachel finally sent a simple message. "Hope you are okay." Old Anthony would have answered with relief, hidden under politeness. New Anthony waited until he was calm. Then he replied briefly, "I am doing well. Hope you are too." No anger, no invitation, no emotional door thrown open. That response came from purpose, not pride. So stay silent with purpose, not to hurt her, not to win some invisible game, not to prove you are stronger than she thought. Stay silent because your peace needs protection. Stay silent because your nervous system needs rest. Stay silent because the man you are becoming cannot keep negotiating with the same cycle that weakened him. If she changes, time will show it. If she does not, silence already gave you your answer. If this grounded you, write this in the comments. I stay purposeful. Do not go anywhere, because the final part shows what changes when you stop choosing her reaction and finally choose yourself. Number 10. You finally choose yourself. Here is the final truth, folks. The deepest power of silence is not what it does to her. It is what it reveals to you. It shows you how many times you abandoned yourself just to keep someone close. It shows you how often you confused, chasing with love, explaining with loyalty, and pain with connection. At some point, my friend, a man has to stop asking, "Does she miss me?" and start asking, "Why did I tolerate being treated like an option?" That question changes everything. Because when you finally choose yourself, silence stops being a tactic. It becomes a declaration, not a loud one, not a bitter one. A calm declaration that says, "My peace is no longer available for emotional games. My dignity is no longer something I trade for." A reply, "My heart is no longer proof I must keep handing to someone who already knew its value and still played with it." This is where a man becomes dangerous in the right way. Not dangerous because he wants revenge. Dangerous because he is no longer easy to manipulate. He no longer runs after every cold shift. He no longer explains himself to someone committed to misunderstanding him. He no longer mistakes crumbs for connection just because they come from a woman he desires. Choosing yourself means you stop negotiating with disrespect. You stop trying to convince her that you were rare. You stop hoping one more message will make her suddenly value what she kept taking for granted. You stop waiting for closure from the same person who created the confusion. And listen carefully. Choosing yourself does not mean you hate her. It does not mean you erase the good moments. It does not mean you pretend you never cared. A mature man can admit he cared deeply and still walk away. He can miss her and still not return. He can remember her smile and still protect his peace. That is strength. That is Stoicism in real life. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." That is the heart of this final lesson. Do not become cruel because someone was careless with you. Do not become bitter because someone did not know how to love with maturity. Do not become cold because warmth was wasted on the wrong person. Become wiser, become steadier, become more selective. That is how you win. If she eventually feels your silence, let her feel it. If regret rises in her, let it rise. If she searches for proof tests the door or wonders why you no longer chase, that is her journey. You do not need to manage it. You do not need to explain it. You do not need to stand nearby hoping she finally understands. Your work is different now. Your work is to rebuild the parts of you that got weak from waiting. Your discipline, your body, your purpose, your standards, your friendships, your faith in your own judgment, your ability to walk away before love turns into self-betrayal. Because the real pain was never only that she pulled away. The real pain was that you kept pulling yourself away from yourself to reach her. So choose yourself now, not as a performance, not as a threat, not to make her come back. Choose yourself, because a man who keeps betraying his own peace cannot build a strong life. Let your silence be the end of one version of you and the beginning of another. The version who does not beg, the version who does not chase confusion, the version who knows that love without respect is not love worth losing yourself for. If this is the man you are becoming, write this in the comments. I choose myself. So let's bring this home, folks. Today you learned that silence is not just the absence of words. It is the moment you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop proving your pain, and start protecting your peace. Your silence may make her question, search, test, and even regret, but the real value is what it does inside you. It rebuilds your discipline. It returns your focus. It teaches you that your dignity is worth more than one more reply from someone who kept taking your presence for granted. If you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, masculine silence, emotional control, and choosing yourself without bitterness, consider joining the channel membership. Your support helps keep this work alive and helps build a stronger community of men who are serious about self-mastery. And if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss the next lesson. When she finally texts you, your reply can either protect your power or hand it right back to her. It has been days, maybe weeks, maybe even months, folks. She disappeared, went cold, left you sitting with questions, and acted like your silence would break before hers did. She thought you would chase. She thought you would send the long message. She thought you would be waiting the moment her name lit up your screen. Then it happens. "Hey, how have you been?" And suddenly your heart moves before your mind does. You remember the late nights, the waiting, the pain, the hope. Part of you wants to reply fast just to feel wanted again. Part of you thinks, maybe this is it. Maybe she finally misses me. But listen carefully, my friend. That message may not mean what you think it means. Sometimes she does not miss you. She misses your attention. She misses knowing she still has access to the man who used to react, explain, and care too quickly. In this video, I am going to show you what her text really means, why you must not reply from hunger, how to respond with calm strength, and how to watch for real effort instead of falling for one weak message. Stay with me because one wrong reply can pull you back into the same old position she left you in. Let's get into it. Number 1. Her text is a test. Let's be real, folks. When she finally texts you after going cold, That message is not always the victory you think it is. Your phone lights up, her name appears, and for 1 second every emotion you buried comes rushing back. The waiting, the silence, the pain, the hope. And before your mind can even think, your heart wants to answer. That is exactly why this moment is dangerous. Because her text is not just a message, it is a test. Not always a planned test, not always some evil game. But it tests one thing clearly. Are you still the same man she left behind? Think about David, 57, from Denver. He had been seeing a woman named Karen, 51. At first, the connection felt strong. She laughed at his stories, sent warm messages, and made him feel like there was something real there. Then she started pulling away. Short replies, cancelled plans, long gaps between texts. David did what many men do. He chased. He asked what changed. He tried to explain how much he cared. Karen disappeared for almost a month. During that month, David suffered, but he also grew. He stopped checking his phone every few minutes. He went back to the gym. He spent time with his brother. He stopped posting indirect messages, hoping Karen would notice. Slowly, his nervous system settled. He was not fully over it, but he was no longer controlled by it. Then, one afternoon, the message came. Hey, how have you been? Simple, casual, almost innocent. And that is what made it powerful, because a vague message like that gives you just enough hope to betray yourself. It does not apologize. It does not acknowledge the silence. It does not take responsibility. It only opens the door a little and waits to see if you will sprint through it. Old David would have replied within seconds. He would have said, I have been thinking about you. I missed you. I was wondering if you were okay. He would have handed her his whole emotional history, because one small text made him feel wanted again. But this time he stopped. He looked at the message and asked himself the question every man needs to ask, is this effort or is this access? That question changes everything, my friend. A woman who truly wants to repair something does not only check if the door is unlocked, she shows intention, she speaks with clarity, she acknowledges what happened. But when she sends a soft little message after leaving you in confusion, she may simply be checking whether she still has access to your attention. That does not mean you hate her. That does not mean you punish her. It means you do not confuse curiosity with accountability. This is where Stoicism matters. A grounded man does not let one message overthrow his discipline. He does not let his body's excitement become his decision-maker. He notices the feeling, breathes through it, and waits until his mind is back in command. David did not reply right away. Not to play games, not to hurt Karen. He waited because he knew an immediate answer would come from hunger, not strength. When he finally responded, he kept it calm and simple. Good to hear from you. I have been well. Hope you are too. No paragraph, no accusation, no emotional flood. That response told Karen something without saying it directly. The old version of me is not available on command anymore. So when her text comes, do not worship it, study it. A message is not proof of regret. A check-in is not proof of change. Her text is the test, but your response is the answer. If this hit home, write this in the comments. I stay calm. Stay with me, because the next part shows why replying from hunger can undo every ounce of power your silence built. Number 2, do not reply hungry. Let's get clear about this, folks. The most dangerous reply is not the angry one, it is the hungry one. The reply that looks calm on the screen but comes from a starving place inside you. The reply that says, finally she came back. Finally I matter again. Finally I can breathe. That is the reply that gives your power away. When she texts after disappearing, your body may react before your wisdom does. Your chest tightens, your heart jumps, your mind starts building stories in seconds. Maybe she regrets it, maybe she misses me. Maybe this is the opening I have been waiting for. And if you answer from that state, you are not responding to her message. You are responding to your own hunger. My friend, hunger makes a man careless. It makes him reply too fast. It makes him over-explain. It makes him forgive before anything has been repaired. It makes him turn a vague message into a romantic comeback story. She says, "Hey, hope you have been good," and he hears, "I made a mistake, I want you back, I finally see your value." But those are not her words. Those are his wounds talking. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. That is exactly the lesson here. You do not control when she texts. You do not control why she texts. You do not control whether the message is sincere, selfish, curious, or confused. But you do control whether you answer like a man or react like a wound. Do not reply hungry. Wait until your nervous system settles. Not because you are playing a little game, not because you want to make her suffer, not because you are trying to punish her with delay. You wait because a man should not make decisions while his self-respect is shaking. You wait because your first impulse after pain is often not wisdom. It is relief wearing a mask. A hungry reply usually has too much emotion, too much warmth too soon, too much information, too much eagerness. You tell her how hard things have been. You ask why she disappeared. You say you have missed her. You try to keep the conversation alive at any cost. And what does she learn? She learns that one small message was enough to reopen full access to you. That is not strength. That is surrender. A grounded reply is different. It is calm, short, clean. It does not punish, but it does not pour out either. It does not chase answers from someone who has not offered accountability. It does not turn her curiosity into your confession. It says, "I see your message, but I am not handing you the old version of me." This is the difference between interest and need. Interest says, "I can speak with you calmly if there is real effort here." Need says, "Please do not disappear again." Interest has posture. Need has panic. Interest observes. Need grabs. And women can feel the difference. So before you reply, ask yourself a few honest questions. Am I hoping this message saves me from feeling lonely? Am I about to reward low effort with high emotion? Am I replying because I am calm or because I am afraid the chance will vanish if I wait? If the answer exposes hunger, put the phone down. Go train, take a walk, eat something, work, breathe. Let the first wave pass. Then when your mind is steady, decide whether the message even deserves a reply. Some messages do. A Stoic man does not answer everything just because it arrives, because the real test is not whether she reached out. The real test is whether you still belong to yourself when she does. If this challenged you, write this in the comments. I reply wisely. Let's keep going because the next part reveals why she may not miss you as much as she misses the attention you used to give so freely. Number 3. She misses your attention. Let's be real, folks. Sometimes when she reaches out, she is not missing you yet. She is missing what you used to give her. Your attention, your warmth, your fast replies, your emotional availability. The comfort of knowing one small message from her could pull you right back into her orbit. That is a hard truth, but a man needs to hear it. A woman can miss your attention without being ready to respect your heart. She can miss the way you made her feel important without being ready to repair what she damaged. She can miss the ego boost, the safety, the validation, the feeling that someone strong still cared enough to react. But missing attention is not the same as missing the man. Think about Michael, 58, from Dallas. He had been seeing a woman named Susan, 52. Susan liked his stability. She liked that he checked on her. She liked that he remembered small details like her favorite coffee, her stressful work meetings, and the way she hated driving at night. But when Michael asked for consistency, Susan became distant. She would disappear for days, then return with a soft message like nothing happened. For months, Michael rewarded that pattern. Every time Susan came back, he opened the door wide. He answered fast. He showed concern. He made her feel cared for again. And without realizing it, he trained her to believe she could disappear and still return to full access. Then Michael stopped. No angry message, no dramatic goodbye, just distance. He stopped being the man who filled every silence. He stopped making himself emotionally available whenever Susan felt lonely. After a few weeks, she texted, "Hey, I was thinking about you. Hope you are okay." Old Michael would have melted. New Michael paused. He asked himself, does she miss me, or does she miss the attention? That question saved him from falling back into the old pattern. Because if she truly missed him, there would be more than a vague check-in. There would be ownership, there would be clarity, there would be some sign that she understood how her inconsistency affected him. But her message did not say that. It only tested whether the light was still on. My friend, attention is powerful. When you give it freely to someone who values you, it builds connection. But when you give it freely to someone who takes you for granted, it becomes a drug for their ego and a wound for your dignity. This is why you cannot treat every message like a romantic confession. She may be bored, she may be curious, she may be lonely, she may have lost another source of attention, she may have expected you to chase and now feels uncomfortable because you did not. None of that means she is ready to meet you with respect. A grounded man watches actions, not emotional crumbs. Michael replied later with calm restraint. "Good to hear from you. I have been well. Hope life is treating you okay." That was it. No flood, no emotional rescue, no invitation back into the center of his life. Susan replied quickly, trying to keep the conversation going. She asked what he had been up to. Old Michael would have given details. New Michael stayed simple, staying busy, getting back into my rhythm. That answer told her something. His attention was no longer automatic, and that is the shift. When your attention becomes intentional, it becomes valuable again. She can no longer use one vague message to pull out the full version of you. She has to show real effort if she wants real access. So remember this. Do not hate her for missing your attention. Just do not confuse it with love. Let consistency prove what words cannot. If this opened your eyes, write this in the comments. I watch. Actions. Stay with me, because the next part shows how to read the hidden meaning behind the message before you decide what it deserves. Number 4. Read the hidden meaning. Let's get clear about this, folks. Not every message means what your heart wants it to mean. A woman can text you after silence and still have no real intention of fixing what she broke. That is why you must read the hidden meaning before you respond. Do not read it with hope. Do not read it with pain. Read it like a man who has finally learned to protect his peace. When she sends, "Hey, hope you are good," that may sound harmless. It may sound warm. It may even sound like she has been thinking about you. But look closer. Where is the accountability? Where is the honesty? Where is the direct acknowledgement of what happened? If she disappeared, went cold, left you confused, or treated your effort like something disposable, then a vague check-in is not enough to prove regret. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That quote matters here, because her text is the outside event. Your interpretation is where the danger begins. The message itself may be short, but your mind can build a whole fantasy around it if you are not disciplined. She says, "How have you been?" And suddenly you hear, "I miss you. I was wrong. I want another chance." But she did not say that. My friend, this is where men lose control. They respond to the meaning they wish was there, instead of the meaning that is actually there. They take a soft message and treat it like a serious apology. They take curiosity and call it love. They take a low-effort check-in and reward it with full emotional access. Do not do that. A mature man studies the level of investment. A vague message usually carries low risk. She does not have to admit anything. She does not have to expose herself. She does not have to say, "She hurt you." She can simply toss a line into the water and see if you bite. If you reply with excitement, she learns that the door is still open. If you reply with pain, she learns she still affects you. If you reply with a paragraph, she learns the old version of you is still waiting. That is why the hidden meaning matters. Now, this does not mean every woman who reaches out is playing a game. Sometimes people are nervous. Sometimes they do not know how to open a difficult conversation. Sometimes a small message is only the first step. But even then, you do not hand over everything immediately. You let her actions reveal the truth over time. If she is sincere, she will bring more than a weak greeting. She will show consistency. She will ask real questions. She will acknowledge the distance. She will take responsibility without you dragging it out of her. If she only wants attention, she will keep the conversation shallow and disappear once she feels reassured. And if you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, female psychology, emotional control, and how to read situations without losing your frame, consider joining the channel membership. Your support helps keep this work alive and builds a stronger community of men who are serious about self-respect. So before you reply, ask yourself, is this message clear or vague? Is it effort or curiosity? Is it accountability or access? Is she reaching for repair or only checking if I still care? That pause can save your dignity. A Stoic man does not rush into meaning. He observes. He breathes. He waits for proof. Because one message can open a door, but only consistent action shows whether she deserves to walk through it. If this grounded you, write this in the comments. I read wisely. Stay tuned, because the next part shows why waiting until you are calm may be the strongest reply you ever give. Number 5. Wait before you answer. Let's be real, folks. The moment her text hits your phone, your first instinct may be the weakest version of you trying to come back to life. Your hand reaches for the screen, your chest tightens, your mind starts running. You tell yourself, just answer casually. Just say something simple. Just don't miss the chance. But that is exactly why you need to wait. Not because you are playing games. Not because you are trying to punish her. Not because you want to make her suffer. You wait because a man should never reply while his emotions are driving the car. If her message can still make your heart jump and your judgment disappear, you are not ready to answer yet. Think about Robert, 56, from Tampa. He had been involved with a woman named Elaine, 52. Elaine disappeared after months of mixed signals. No clear goodbye. No honest explanation. Just distance. Robert spent weeks rebuilding himself. He stopped chasing. He stopped checking her profile. He got back into his routine, started walking every morning, and finally felt some peace returning. Then one Thursday evening, Elaine texted him, "Hey stranger, hope you've been good." That was all. Old Robert would have replied in seconds. He would have tried to sound relaxed while secretly hoping the conversation turned emotional. He would have asked how she was, then kept the exchange alive, then maybe hinted that he had. One weak message would have pulled him straight back into the old pattern. But this time Robert did something different. He placed the phone on the kitchen counter and walked away. That small act mattered. He did not wait to manipulate Elaine. He waited to regain himself. He knew his first reply would come from hunger. He knew part of him still wanted her message to mean more than it said. So instead of letting hope write the response, he gave himself time to calm down. That is what waiting does. It separates impulse from intention. When you answer immediately after weeks of silence, she may feel that she still has instant access to you. She may feel that nothing really changed. She may feel that one small text is enough to wake up the old man who used to chase her emotional crumbs. But when you wait, you send a different message without saying it out loud. My peace has a gate now. My attention is not automatic. I answer from choice, not need. Again, do not make this childish. Do not sit there counting hours like some bitter strategy. The exact time is not the point. The point is your state. If you are still shaking, still fantasizing, still angry, still hoping her message will rescue you from loneliness, wait. If you can read her text and feel calm enough to accept any outcome, then you can decide like a man. Robert waited until the next day. He went to sleep. He woke up, trained, made coffee, and read the message again. It looked different in the morning, less magical, less powerful, more ordinary. That told him everything. The message had not changed. He had. Then he replied simply, "Good to hear from you. I've been well. Hope you are too. Clean, warm, short, no emotional surrender." That is the power of waiting. It keeps you from rewarding vague effort with deep access. It protects the work you built in silence. It reminds you that her timing does not have to become your timing. A Stoic man does not react just because something touches an old wound. He pauses. He breathes. He lets the wave pass. Then he chooses. So when she texts, "Wait before you answer," let your body calm down. Let your mind return. Let the old hunger lose its grip. Because the strongest reply is not always the fastest one. It is the one that comes from self-respect. If this challenged you, write this in the comments. I wait calmly. Don't go anywhere, because the next part shows exactly how to reply short, calm and strong without giving away your power. Number 6. Reply calm and short. Let's get clear about this, folks. When you finally reply, your goal is not to impress her. Your goal is not to punish her. Your goal is not to open the floodgates and finally release everything you have been holding back. Your goal is simple: respond like a man who still owns himself. That means calm and short. Most men lose power right here. They wait, they stay silent, they rebuild some strength. Then the moment they reply, they pour too much into the message. They ask where she has been. They explain how much it hurt. They say they have been thinking about her. They try to sound casual, but the message still carries hunger, and she feels it. My friend, if your reply is longer than her effort deserves, you are already giving too much. Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her message is the outside event. Your reply is where your strength is revealed. You cannot control why she reached out. You cannot control what she hopes to get from you. But you can control whether you respond from self-respect or old pain. So keep it simple. If she says, "Hey, how have you been?" you can say, "I've been well. Hope you are too." If she says, "Just checking on you," you can say, "I'm good. Thanks for asking." If she says, "I've been thinking about you," you do not need to fall apart. You can say, "I hear you. Hope life has been treating you well." Notice the energy. Warm but not eager. Respectful but not open, like a wound. Short but not bitter. That is the tone. You are not trying to make her chase. You are showing her that access to your emotions is no longer automatic. This is important because a vague message does not deserve your full story. She does not get a deep emotional update just because she sent one soft line after disappearing. She does not get your pain, your loneliness, your progress, your healing, and your private thoughts on demand. That access must be earned through consistency. A calm, short reply does 3 things. First, it protects your peace. You are not reopening old wounds just because she knocked. Second, it prevents overinvestment. You are matching the level of effort, not rewarding low effort with high emotion. Third, it lets her reveal herself. If she is only curious, she will keep things shallow. If she is sincere, she will bring more clarity. She will ask better questions. She will acknowledge the distance. She will show real effort instead of tossing casual words and waiting for you to do all the emotional labor. That is why you should never let her steer you back into the old pattern. If she replies fast and tries to keep the conversation going, stay grounded. Do not become cold, but do not become available too quickly either. If she asks what you have been doing, you can say, "Staying busy, getting life in order." That is enough. You do not owe a full report. The less you explain, the more control you keep over yourself. And remember, calm does not mean weak. Short does not mean rude. A disciplined reply is not about acting superior. It is about refusing to hand your heart back to someone who has not shown they know how to hold it. A Stoic man speaks with intention. He does not use 10 sentences when one clean sentence protects his dignity. He does not bleed through the phone. He lets his restraint speak. So when you reply, make it calm, make it short, make it clean. Let her feel that the old man who over-explained is gone. If this made sense, write this in the comments. I reply calmly. Stay with me, because the next part shows why you must not reopen old wounds just because she sends one soft message. Number 7. Do not reopen wounds. Let's be real, folks. One soft message from her does not erase the way she left you sitting in confusion. It does not erase the nights you checked your phone. It does not erase the silence, the mixed signals, the emotional weight, or the work you did to pull yourself back together. So do not reopen wounds just because her name appears on your screen again. That is where many men lose themselves. They get one message, and suddenly they forget the whole pattern. They forget how cold she became. They forget how many times they tried to understand her while she gave them nothing clear. They forget how hard it was to stop chasing. They forget the discipline it took to rebuild even a little peace. Then they reply like the wound is healed. Think about Thomas, 59, from Street Lewis. He had been involved with a woman named Diane, 52. Diane had a habit of vanishing whenever the connection became serious. She would get close, then pull away. She would send affectionate messages, then disappear for days. Thomas kept trying to make sense of it. He asked questions. He explained his feelings. He tried to be patient. But every time he opened his heart wider, Diane gave less. Eventually, Thomas stepped back. It hurt, but he did it. He stopped sending long messages. He stopped checking whether she was online. He stopped trying to decode every silence. Slowly, his mornings became calmer again. His appetite came back. His work improved. He started sleeping without waking up to check his phone. Then Diane texted, "Hey, I was thinking about you today." That sentence landed like a match near dry wood. Thomas felt everything light up inside him. The hope, the anger, the longing, the questions. Part of him wanted to say, "I was thinking about you too." Another part wanted to ask, "Then why did you disappear like I meant nothing?" But both responses would have reopened the wound. My friend, this is the danger. When you answer from pain, you invite the old injury back into the room. When you answer from hope too quickly, you give her access to a heart she has not shown she can handle carefully. One vague sentence is not enough to earn a deep, emotional conversation. Thomas paused. He did not ignore her to punish her. He simply refused to bleed again because she knocked gently. Later, when he was calm, he replied, "Hope you have been well." Short, clean, no accusation, no confession, no door thrown wide open. That is how a man protects the healing he has started. Do not reopen wounds by asking for closure from someone who may only be checking for access. Do not reopen wounds by explaining again what she already knew hurt you. Do not reopen wounds by trying to turn a casual message into a serious conversation before she has shown real effort. If she truly wants to repair, she will bring more than nostalgia. She will bring clarity. She will acknowledge the distance. She will show consistency. She will not expect one soft message to erase the impact of her absence. And until that happens, your peace comes first. A Stoic man does not deny his feelings. He simply refuses to let feelings become commands. You can miss her and still protect yourself. You can care and still stay guarded. You can answer politely and still keep the deeper door closed until her actions prove she deserves more access. So when she texts, remember what it cost you to heal. Remember the nights you fought not to chase. Remember the discipline you built in silence. Do not trade all of that for one message that has not earned your vulnerability. If this hit home, write this in the comments: I protect healing. Let's keep going, because the next part shows how to separate a weak check-in from real effort that deserves your attention. Number 8. Watch her real effort. Let's get clear about this, folks. A text is not effort. A fast reply is not effort. A little nostalgia is not effort. A woman saying "I was thinking about you" does not automatically mean she is ready to respect you, repair what happened, or meet you with maturity. Real effort looks different. The mistake most men make is they confuse emotional movement with real change. She texts after weeks of silence, and they think this is it. She replied quickly, so she must care. She asked, what I have been up to, so maybe she misses me. She said she was thinking about me, so maybe she regrets everything. Slow down, my friend. Curiosity is not accountability. Attention is not repair. Warmth is not consistency. Epictetus said, "Do not explain your philosophy. Embody it." That is exactly how you should judge her effort. Do not listen only to what she says. Watch what she embodies. Does she show up with clarity? Does she acknowledge what happened? Does she respect your pace? Does she communicate consistently, or does she only appear when she needs validation? A woman who truly wants access back into your life will not rely on one vague message. She will make her intention clearer over time. She will not expect you to carry the entire conversation. She will not throw out a soft line and wait for you to pour your heart into it. She will participate. She will ask real questions. She will stay present. She will not disappear the moment she feels reassured that you still care. That is what you watch for. If she says, "Hey, how have you been?" and then disappears again after your calm reply, that tells you something. If she asks about your life but avoids the way she left, that tells you something. If she becomes warm only when you pull back but careless, once you lean in, that tells you something. Do not ignore the pattern because the moment feels good. A Stoic man watches behavior over emotion. He understands that the body can want something the mind knows is not healthy. You may want her to prove she misses you. You may want her message to mean more than it does. But self-respect requires you to look at reality without decorating it. Real effort has weight. It does not hide behind casual words forever. It may start small because people can be nervous, but it moves toward honesty. She may say, "I know, I went quiet, and that was not fair." She may say, "I should have handled things better." She may ask if you are open to talking, not demand that you reopen the door. She may show through repeated action that she is not just checking for access, she is trying to understand the damage. That is different. But if all she gives is shallow energy, keep your boundary. Be polite if you choose. Be calm, but do not promote her from stranger to priority because she sent one message. Access is earned. Trust is rebuilt. Peace is protected. And remember, real effort is consistent even when you do not reward it immediately. If she only tries harder when she senses she is losing power, that may be ego. If she remains respectful even when you move slowly, that may be maturity. Time reveals the difference. So do not rush. Let her show you. Let the conversation unfold without handing her the old version of you. If she is serious, her effort will become clear. If she is not, your restraint will protect you. Your job is not to guess her heart. Your job is to guard your peace until her actions speak louder than her words. If this grounded you, write this in the comments. I watch. Effort. Stay tuned, because the next part shows how to keep control after you reply when the real test begins. Number 9. Keep control after reply. Let's be real, folks. The first reply is not the end of the test. It is the beginning of the real one. Many men stay strong until they answer. They wait. They calm themselves down. They send something short and clean. Then she replies back quickly, and suddenly they lose control all over again. That is where the old pattern sneaks in. Think about James, 58, from Phoenix. He had been involved with a woman named Valerie, 51, who disappeared whenever things became emotionally serious. After weeks of silence, she finally sent him a soft message. "Hey, I hope you have been okay." James waited until he was calm, then replied, "I have been well. Hope you are too. That was good." Then Valerie replied 3 minutes later, "I miss talking to you sometimes." And that is where James almost lost himself. His heart jumped. His mind started building the story. Maybe she regrets it. Maybe she misses me. Maybe she finally understands. He wanted to answer with everything he had been holding back. He wanted to say he missed her too. He wanted to ask why she left, whether she still cared, whether they could talk about what happened. But he remembered something important. A second message is still not consistency. So he stayed calm. He replied, "I understand. We had some good conversations. That was it. Warm enough to be human, short enough to protect himself. No emotional surrender. That is how you keep control after the reply. Because once she sees that you are not reacting like the old version of yourself, she may try to pull more from you. She may become warmer. She may ask more personal questions. She may say something nostalgic. She may send a picture, a memory, a little emotional hook, not always to manipulate you, but to test the door, to see how open it still is. And if you throw that door wide open too fast, you teach her that your silence was only temporary. My friend, control after reply means you stay steady after the first contact. You do not let one warm message erase the pattern that hurt you. You do not let nostalgia replace accountability. You do not let your desire for her make you forget what it cost you to rebuild your peace. James understood this. Valerie asked what he had been doing lately. Old James would have sent a full update, telling her about his work, his gym routine, his weekends, his family, anything to keep the conversation alive. New James said, staying busy, getting back into a good rhythm. Then he stopped. He did not chase the next message. He did not ask if she missed him. He did not try to convert the conversation into a late-night emotional confession. He let it breathe. That is powerful, because a woman can feel when your energy no longer rushes toward her. She can feel when you are present, but not available on command. She can feel when your calm is not a performance, but a boundary. Now, do not be cold just to prove a point. That is not stoic, that is wounded pride. If she shows real effort, you can respond with respect. If she speaks honestly, you can meet honesty with honesty. But do not give depth before depth is earned. Do not give access before effort is proven. Do not give your heart to a conversation that has not shown it can hold your peace. Control means you decide the pace. If the conversation gets too emotional too fast, slow it down. If she avoids responsibility, do not fill the gap for her. If she disappears again after getting your attention, let that be information. If she keeps showing up with consistency, then you can decide what access she deserves over time. A grounded man does not rush because hope is loud. He watches, he listens, he lets actions gather evidence. So after you reply, stay in your frame. Keep your responses clean. Keep your life moving. Keep your standards awake. Because the power is not only in how you answer the first message, the power is in not becoming the old man after the conversation starts again. If this spoke to you, write this in the comments. I keep control. Stay with me, because the final part shows why choosing peace over access is the strongest move a man can make. Number 10. Choose peace over access. Here is the final lesson, folks. Just because she reached out does not mean she deserves access again. A message can open a door, but your peace decides whether that door stays open. And this is where a man either proves he has grown or proves he was only waiting for one soft text to become weak again. Access is not the prize, peace is. Most men forget that when her name appears on the screen. They remember her voice, her smile, her body, the way she looked at them when things were good. Desire starts speaking louder than wisdom. Hope starts editing the past. Suddenly, the confusion, the silence, the coldness, the nights of overthinking, all of it gets pushed aside because one message gave them a hit of old emotion. My friend, that is how you get pulled back into the same fire that burned you. Choosing peace over access means you stop treating her attention like proof of your value. You stop thinking she texted me, so maybe I matter again. No, you mattered before the message. You mattered during the silence. You mattered when she disappeared. Your value did not leave with her, and it did not return with her. That is the Stoic frame. A grounded man does not ask, "Can I get her back?" He asks, "Does letting her back protect or disturb my peace?" That question changes the entire game, because sometimes the thing you want is not the thing that is good for you. Sometimes access to her means access to the old anxiety, the old waiting, the old wondering, the old version of yourself who checked his phone like his dignity, lived inside it. You cannot build a strong life while giving open access to someone who keeps making you feel unstable. This does not mean you have to be cruel. It does not mean you ignore sincere effort. It does not mean you punish her for reaching out. A mature man can be calm, respectful, and still guarded. He can answer politely without reopening his soul. He can acknowledge her message without handing her the keys to his emotional house. That is power. If her effort is vague, keep your access limited. If her words are soft but her actions are still inconsistent, keep your pace slow. If she avoids accountability, do not fill in the missing apology for her. If she only appears when she is lonely, bored, or curious, let her meet the boundary you built in silence. And if she comes with real humility, clear effort, and consistent behavior, you still do not rush. You watch, you breathe. You let time reveal whether this is repair or just another cycle trying to restart. Because one message does not prove change. A week of warmth does not erase a pattern. A woman who truly respects you will not demand instant access just because she finally decided to knock. She will understand that trust has a cost. She will understand that your peace matters now. She will understand that the man she is speaking to is not the same man she left waiting. That is what you have to remember. The version of you who begged for clarity, chased weak signals, and gave full access for half effort cannot be the one answering now. That man had to suffer so this man could wake up. So choose peace. Choose the calm morning over the chaotic late-night conversation. Choose self-respect over the rush of being wanted again. Choose consistency over chemistry. Choose actions over nostalgia. Choose the man you are becoming over the woman who still has not proven she can meet him properly. If she truly wants a place in your life, she will have to approach the new version of you with more than a casual message. She will need effort, honesty, patience, and respect. Until then, keep your peace protected. Keep your standards awake. Keep your life moving. Because the strongest man is not the one every woman can reach. It is the man who knows exactly who deserves access and who does not. So let's bring this all together, folks. Today you learned that when she reaches out, the message itself is not the victory. Your response is the real test. You must not reply from hunger, hope, anger, or old pain. You read the message clearly, wait until you are calm, reply short, if it deserves a reply, and then watch her real effort over time. One weak message does not erase how she left. Consistent action is what matters. Your peace is the prize now, not access to someone who has not proven they can respect it. If you want deeper lessons on Stoicism, female psychology, emotional control, and protecting your dignity when the past comes knocking, consider joining the channel membership. Your support helps keep this work alive and helps build a stronger community of men who are serious about self-mastery. And if you have not subscribed yet, subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss the next lesson. Thank you for watching, my friend. Stay calm, stay in control, and I will see you in the next video. Silence is powerful, but my friend, silence alone is not always enough. We have all heard it before, folks. Stay quiet. Do not react. Let her wonder what you are thinking. And yes, silence can create mystery. It can protect your energy. It can stop you from saying something weak, needy, or emotional when your pride is burning. But here is the question most men never ask. What happens when silence becomes predictable? What happens when she stops wondering and starts assuming? What happens when your absence does not make her feel your strength, but only makes her forget your presence? That is where many men lose. The moment. They think silence itself is the strategy.